Let's go. Ranking all champions based on how good their story is. We're gonna like this already. As this Jin story is simple, important, amazing. Okay.
What do you want from me? What do you want, Riot? You haven't released a story in a month! Everyone is playing Fortnite and Elden Ring! Just do something!
Can't blame them for Elden Ring. Fortnite, I mean. Void soon. Trademark.
I swear to God, if it's a sexy champion. As you can see, Riot abandoned us this month, so I have to reach for the reserve ideas. Over 2 years ago, we ranked all champions based on how good their lore is. Since then, the lore moved forward quite a bit. Last time, we used tiers such as Essential Read and World Building because some champions explained essential parts of the world. These days, pretty much every champion reveals something new, so the World Building tier is getting dumped. Now we are left with the classic S to F ranking, with the occasional forgotten champion.
Who?
But now, because there's a lot of champions ahead of us, let's get on it. Remember, all of this is subjective, so if I rank your favorite champion low, But don't worry, the stories are generally good, there won't be too many bad champions. Starting alphabetically with Aatrox. Aatrox on his own is pretty average, but he has some great connections to Tryndamere. And with the Darkin lore, he can comfortably sit in B. Ahri's story is pretty deep, she appeared in 3 different stories. And Ruined King gave her some really interesting new background.
Oh.
S. Akali's bio is
Holy,
pretty
I need
short,
to watch
but she
that
does
Ahri
appear in
stuff.
the Z
Then. Holy
comic.
shit.
And her Bow and the Kunai story, which may be teasing a new champion, is amazing.
Oh.
A. When it comes to Akshan, truth be told, they did him dirty. Yes, he was a pivotal character during the Sentinels of Light, but for someone who is wielding such a crucial weapon, he's just not an interesting character. D. Alistar's bio is kinda cool. He has an interesting history with Noxus, but he never appeared anywhere since.
Yeah.
D. Amumu is just a legend. No one knows anything about him. He does have a decent amount of speculating lore, but it's frustrating to know that he's just one massive mystery.
Yeah.
C.
I mean,
Out of
C,
all the
it's a
Freljordian
who.
demigods, Anivia has the least lore.
What is
she
a who
gets
then?
a C, but
Why?
only because Ornn and Volibear carry her.
Oh,
Annie
okay.
is a lot creepier in the lore than she is in the game. She also has her own cinematic, but the story called Trouble easily gives her a B. Aphelios is as complex of a character as his own kid. Loads of Targonian celestial reveals. A. For being one of the Freljordian leaders,
Oh,
Ashe
it's more of a implication of their story rather than their story directly. Okay, like personally.
doesn't really have anything happening around her. She is a B, but only because her comic was awesome. If you like cosmic lore, Aurelian is awesome. He gets an A because of how meaningful his lore is.
Really,
Being
I thought
the
he would
Emperor
get an
of
S
Shurima,
since he's
Azir
like
is
so
really
important.
important for the entire continent.
Yeah, that's an
He
S.
only gets an A because he is not as interesting as everything that is happening around him.
True.
Bard gets a B
Fair
because
enough.
his recent update gave his story a reason. From his mask to the meeps, it all makes sense now. And if you know his recent story, you know he's going to be important when the Void attacks.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, Blitzcrank is one of the Zonite characters that was kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
He does get a C because his ensemble story is adorable.
Okay.
Even though Brand's bio may be kind of boring, his story with Rise, called From the Ashes, is so good he easily reaches an S.
Really?
Most of Brom's
Holy
story
fuck.
is just legends. But man, are those legends awesome. Also, he appeared in The Ruined King.
Yes,
Hey,
he did.
Remember, Arcane is a separate universe from the core lore. So Caitlyn's story here is slightly different. But it's still pretty awesome.
I still don't know why they did it as like a separate fucking like universe. Like it makes no sense.
Hey, while to many, Camille may not seem like an interesting character, the Weakest
Really?
Heart is one of the best
I
stories
feel like it was
League of
really
Legends
good.
has ever seen.
Yes.
Easily S.
Okay, if that's an S, I wouldn't put it an S. Okay, it was a nice story. First 3 chapters of it were not so interesting, but it's cool. I would put her like a B. Personally, like she's a Romeo and Juliet if they never sacrificed themselves and decide to go their separate ways. But they could never leave without the other, so they never got another partner. Well, she couldn't because of her duty. That's why she broke up. But like he couldn't get past her, so he died alone. But I mean, I wouldn't put her in an S. Like implications of the story are not that big as well.
Cassiopeia got a lot of interesting lore around Azir's release. And then it stopped.
Yeah.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
C. Cho'Gath currently
Bro,
has no
what will it take? How is Cassie lower than this guy who's like recent? That's so weird.
Corki currently has no canon lore.
Same.
Darius suffers from one unfortunate thing. Despite him having a lot of lore in the comic, Noxus is a lot more interesting than him.
Yeah.
B. Diana and Leona don't have enough great lore to be at the very peak.
They need more.
But their recent story together easily gave them an
Oh, did they meet?
Draven is just worse Darius. C. Mundo's story doesn't explain anything.
That's
we all
true.
thought it would be linked to Shimmer, but
no.
It's just a random chemical, I guess.
Yeah.
D. Echo
How's
is
that a
awesome.
D? Why is that not an F? What does it take to be an F?
Both in Arcane and in the core universe.
Yeah,
His Lullaby
C.
story made a lot of people cry, but he hasn't gotten an update in a while. B.
Really?
Elise herself is a really interesting character, but she lacks updates. C. Evelyn is also a really interesting character, but she lacks importance in the world.
Yeah.
C. Ezreal has awesome Indiana Jones stories as he's traveling around the world.
No.
And he is connected to crucial world events. A. Fiddlesticks is a mystery done right. What he is a speculation, but the mystery is set up so well. Take notes, Amumu. A. Fiora has a lot of good stories that all end as cliffhangers. Until she gets a story with Jax. B. Fizz is kinda just not interesting.
Also,
he doesn't have a lot of lore, but the stories around him are interesting. C.
What does it take to be a D or an F? I don't even understand why. If Fizz is a C, Cass should be a C. Actually, she is. Sorry, what's his name? Action should be a C. Why is Action a D? Oh, God.
Really awesome character.
What does it take to be an
F?
F?
That he's not being used in any of the recent stories.
True.
B.
Well, he's just there.
One of the fundamental villains of Bilgewater, and he was in Ruined King. A. While many may think that Garen is a generic character, his personal stories are glorious. He is an important character in every single one of his stories.
Yep.
There is a reason why he got a novella. S. Nar started as a good idea
did my
for
Garen boy proud.
And then he was forgotten and his story never led anywhere.
Yep.
D. While Gragas' bio is really bland, his short story is awesome. Unfortunately, that can't carry him above C.
Yeah.
Graves and Twisted Fate have amazing stories,
I think that's
but
a
they
B.
suffer from really bad bios. Still, A.
Really?
Gwen is surprisingly an interesting character despite not so interesting design. And she proved to be important during the Sentinels of Light. I think. We're still not sure what's canon there. B. Necrit is surrounded by so many amazing stories, with only one being centered around him.
Yeah.
B. Heimerdinger currently has 3 sentences of lore, but I guess it's canon lore. F. Illaoi has many different stories connected to many different champions, and she was in Ruined King. A.
It's like, was the champion in Ruined King? Yes, A. No, C.
Is a really important character for Ionia, but the story was never pushed beyond the events of the invasion.
Yeah.
B. Ivern is a really interesting character with a really awesome
give him a
history.
C.
It's a shame he's not being used in the recent stories, though. B. Janna has a lot of
different understanding of what B means.
Rima and Zaun. She herself is lacking stories, though. B.
It's like the way I see B. B means good story. A means excellent story. S means holy fuck. I want to read this again to make sure I didn't miss any parts of it. And then D is like, like I don't really care. It's like it's whatever. F means irrelevant. Who means they forgot about this champion, like Cho'Gath.
Jarvan became a great character after the Mage Civil War, and the Aftermath story is amazing. Hey, Jax is connected to one of the best storylines of Runeterra. The Icathian War is amazing, and he is a crucial character there.
Is he?
S.
Okay, I need to watch that.
Jace hasn't seen an update in a really long time, and compared to Arcane,
he's in the lab.
He's quite boring. C.
C? That's what I mean. Like, how is that a C? Hasn't gotten an update in a very long time, and he's quite boring. Bro, that's a D or an F. It's like Heimerdinger.
His story is simple, important, amazing, and he has his own comic. S.
Okay.
Once again, compared to her Arcane version, where she was amazing, the canon Jinx is kinda empty.
Yeah, she's just crazy chick.
Kaisa
Again, why
has
is that
some
a
really
C?
interesting stories, but it is all just a setup so far.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Voidy event will push her above.
Apparently, I think it did to an extent. Like, I didn't really understand the cinematic with the new champion. I feel like that should bump her up to A, because I think it is really relevant, but that's mostly, it's not even her story there. She's just a part of it.
B. Callista is a really interesting character who was also really
confusing
important
character.
for the Ruination. I can't wait to see what the Ruination novel does to her. A. For as important...
Kaisa, in my opinion, story-wise, from what I've seen so far, maybe it was updated and stuff. Because, like, he hasn't seen what happened in Ruination at this point either. But at this point in time, where he's making the video, man, probably like a C. Like, her story was just so meh.
And as one would believe Karma is, she's really not. And her stories don't really do anything to her.
True.
C. Karthus is an interesting character who is heavily underutilized. C. Kassadin is a really interesting character as well. But for an unknown reason, his spotlight was stolen away by Kaisa.
Because his dog... Man, you guys did my Kassadin dirty, man.
Katarina used to have interesting interactions with Garen,
yeah.
but eventually those were retconned.
Yeah.
And now her lore is empty. C.
Yep.
Gale
and now her lore is empty. That's a C. She has no lore. That's an F or an a who.
Morgana lay out some really awesome foundations for Demacia. But until their setup gets paid off, they only get a B.
Fair
Kain
enough.
is a cool character with a cool background. But his dark inside is not really being explored. B. Kennen is a character that every now and then
such weird different understanding what a B, A, C, and D mean. Holy
appears in really important stories.
Like, oh, Katarina doesn't really have a story right now. But it's a C. But she doesn't have a story. But it's a C. How does that fucking work?
But he is never the main character. B. Kha'Zix was awfully left behind.
Yes.
He does have canon lore, but his side of it is really bad. F. Kindred are simply flawless. The character is interesting, the lore is awesome,
give that an S.
and the stories written for them are one of the best in League.
But it's also extremely confusing. Like, how does she even work? But yeah, it's an S.
S. Glad is a crazy yordle. The end. C.
Dude, that's a B. Crazy Yordle? Fuck it. That's a B in my book. It's a comedy, but it's a B. Maybe it's C for comedy.
Kog'Maw currently has no lore.
Yep.
LeBlanc is a really interesting character. She is important for Noxus, and she keeps getting updated. A.
Fair enough.
Lee Sin has a good story that is really starting to show its age. C.
Dude, I wish... So the cinematic where Kaisa is captured by the new champion, whatever, like the fucking flying squid. Dude, I wish Kassadin just comes and just fucking saves her and like beats the shit out of that the squid, which obviously he can't do, but I just wish it would happen.
For a relatively new champion, Lilia's story is not too bad. B. Lysandra is a fundamental character for Freljord, and she doesn't have one, but two.
I feel like she's an S. Just like knowing what she did so far, I think that's an S, and what she's doing.
Two amazing stories. S. Lucian is a cool demon hunter
A,
character.
B, A. I would give him an A.
B.
Really?
Lulu is quite bland, but her story with Tristana makes sure she gets at least C. Lux is a really important character for Demacia. She has 3 amazing stories and a comic. S.
Really?
For the longest time,
I don't know the... I guess well, I mean, at this point in time, it's probably already with the whole major stuff, which I didn't see yet, so yeah, maybe. Malphite's probably, like, not important.
It was a lore meme. He simply didn't have a story. But then Riot used the Uno reverse card, and now he's in B. Malzahar recently got a story that is teasing the new champion, which easily got him a B.
Wait a second, Malzahar gets a story that Kassadin doesn't? Fuck off.
We'll see if he gets higher during the Voidy event. While Maokai may not feel that interesting, Ruined King gave him some really cool new depth. B. Mastery's bio is fine, the Homecoming story is good, but his story with Master Doran is godly.
Really?
Miss Fortune is a really deep character full of twists and turns which you wouldn't expect.
Full of
she
curves.
Has a comic, and she is the main character of Ruined King. S.
Is she?
Mordekaiser's story is among my favorite. It is extremely simple, extremely badass, and extremely important for Runeterra.
Yes, yeah.
As interesting as Nami is, she suffers from lack of updates. C. Even though Nasus has not seen an update in a while,
his story was
old
good,
stories do stand the test of time.
Yeah.
B. Nautilus is a really good Bilgewaterian legend that could see more love. C.
That's a
Nico
D in my
set up
book.
her origins in the bio, and that's it. C. Nidalee is in the exact same boat. Quite a forgotten champion. C. Nocturne started as a pretty cool idea, but slowly, through Zed and Lux, he became amazing.
Really?
Even though Nunu is not the most mind-blowing character, the history behind Willump is pretty good. And the two have a few heartwarming stories. B.
That's fine, I guess.
At first, Olaf didn't
that's a
look
B.
like a great character. His
I would
bio
give him
was
an A
very
or an
simple,
B.
But over time,
As a character, I would give him A or B. I love the type of characters like this. They're just like, their sole purpose is to fight. But he's not like fighting anyone, but like, big opponent. I go big opponent. I go fight.
kept appearing in more and more interesting stories.
Yeah.
B. Oriana is another one of those characters who
It's
are
kind of
cool,
forgotten.
but they lack updates.
Yeah.
C. Ornn is an extremely unique character. He is really important in the stories,
Yeah.
and he pushes the lore forward. A.
Did he push
Pension
forward?
is really good, but unfortunately a lot of his amazing lore belongs to
Is
Aurelion
Aatrox.
and Aatrox.
Yeah.
Although, with the latest story, he easily gets an A. For a while, Poppy was awesome. But then, everyone got better and better, and she stayed behind. Why show her in the cinematic when nothing happens to her again? C. Pike is all over the place. His story is really interesting, but it is also really tiny. On the other side, he also got a good story in Ruined King. Overall, B. Kiana launched as a pretty bland character despite her introducing a new region. But over time, her story ramped up, and these days, if you count the stories connected to her, she's a solid A.
Really?
Wynn is an amazing side character, be it in Sona's past or Garen's present. She's everywhere, but she hasn't gotten her own spotlight yet. B. Rakan and Zaya have some amazing stories where they are fighting the Shadow Order. That's on top of the cinematic. A. While Rammus really doesn't have a lot of lore, the idea behind his mystery and the self-aware jokes carry him to C. Rek'Sai is a void mummy. That's her entire lore.
No, it is.
Right now, Rel is just one massive cliffhanger. We have no idea where her lore is heading. So, currently, D.
Yeah,
For the newest
sense.
champion, Renata has a decently interesting lore.
Renata, from what I know about her, just she has lore, but it's just so not interesting to me. For me, she would be like a C, but I can probably see her as being a B, maybe an A, because, but again, how much is she relevant to the world? Not really. She's only like relevant to Zaun and Piltover, really.
It is a pretty good setup as well, but there just isn't much of it.
Yeah.
C.
Yeah.
Renekton is on a similar level to Nasus. A good story connected to other good champions. B. Even after his updates, Rengar's story just lacks purpose. They even tried to fix it by letting him hunt Viego during the Sentinels of Light, which did nothing to him.
Yeah.
C. Throughout the last 2 years, Riven's story became a staple. Her story is simply iconic now. She has a 3-part story where she confronts Yasuo, a 3-part story where Noxians hunt her in Ionia, and during the Sentinels of Light, her story was one of the better ones.
Really?
Rumble has a hilarious...
Bro, I have to watch the Riven one then. I actually really love Riven overall, so...
story with kids in Shurima. That's really it though.
Yep.
C.
That's
as badass as Ryze is, the excellency of his lore rubbed onto Brand. Ryze's own story is far closer to A. Similar to the other new champions, Samira's story is just a setup, and nothing happened to her just yet.
Fair enough.
Recently, Riot decided to give Sejuani an awesome treatment. Her stories just keep getting better and better. And her interactions with Volibear easily carry her to an S.
Really?
Senna had the misfortune of
the hell's going on up north?
Not one of the best storylines. But she still has a really good amount of great stories.
Okay.
B. Okay, so, you know what I'm about to do. Partially, I'm doing it for the memes, but partially, I stand behind that decision. Seraphine's KDA lore is really good. Easily an A. But her story in the core universe? F. Visually, she feels off. Thematically, she feels off. And she's making interactions with the Breckern awkward. If you cut her from the story, nothing changes.
Nothing, yeah. Or from the game. Nothing changes. This character literally was made for the KDA shit.
She should be closer to a D, though. Seth is a great, simple character. He also has minimal, albeit interesting lore. Still, C. Keiko is one of the few champions who has no lore. Shen and Zed have an excellent story. From the beginning to the end, it is all exciting. They are not an S because Jin steals their thunder, but they are still an easy A. Even though Shyvana doesn't have a lot of lore, the lore she has serves great purpose for Demacia and Jarvan. B. Singed is a totally different character from his Arcane version. And in fact, he is a lot better in the core universe. If you like horror stories, the story called The
fair
Host is the best in League. Easy.
But he's still he's different in the Arcane universe, but he's still not I don't even know how to say it.
Sion is one of the most underutilized characters.
Yes, 100%.
His story suggests that
aside from the Noxus, aside from the Ionian invasion, Noxus invading into Ionia, I don't think he's been utilized at all.
Interesting, but he hasn't been touched in 8 years.
Yeah.
D. Despite Sivir also not seeing an update in years, the old stories she has stood the test of time.
It's good stories.
Skarner is going to get a VGU, so his story will most likely change again. In its current state,
or just updated.
It's interesting, but there's not a lot of it. Sona was always an interesting character, but recently she got a great story to top it all off. A. Over time, Soraka slowly turned from just a celestial being into an interesting character.
Really?
Just remember that Soraka is secretly linked to Syndra's story. That earns her a B at least.
Interesting.
Swain is great. He is a fundamental Noxian, he has a rich history, and he has a great demonic mystery. A. Silas is an S. Despite the fact that he is a relatively new champion, he arrived with an insane story. And he's been pushing the story of Demacia forward ever since. A brilliant character overall.
Yeah.
While Syndra's bio is just fine, the Dreaming Pool story is so good she gets an A.
Really?
Tamkench is an excellent mythical demon.
But
that has never done anything in the lore. C. Talia's story.
That has never done anything in the lore. C. How is that a C though? That's a D. He had one story with like a gambler and that's it. How's that a C?
Surprisingly, really good. It is interesting.
It's
rich,
it's fine. I'll give it a B.
Maybe in the Void event she gets even higher.
Maybe.
A.
B
when
for
it comes
me.
to Talon, he's kind of a pointless character
C.
right now. He's done nothing and he's doing nothing. D. Tariq's story is quite good.
It's like, how is he getting? I'm actually okay with him getting a D, but how is Tahm Kench getting a C if he's just as relevant as Talon?
He reveals a lot about Demacian traditions, and he is connected to one of the recent amazing stories. B. Teemo has never gotten a story.
Never.
I don't know what's happening with him.
No one knows.
F.
Yeah.
Thresh's
more like a
story
hook.
comes from the outside, be it other champions or other games.
There's never like a
He's
actual
lacking a
Thresh
big
story.
that would be focusing on himself, but still, A.
Really?
Just like Lulu, Tristana is kinda there. C. Trundle's bio is fine, but his recent short story is excellent. B. For being one of the fiercest warriors of Freljord, Tryndamere is not doing anything.
Yeah.
C. Did you know that Twitch...
he's not doing anything though. There's no, like, if you think about what Tryndamere lore is, there is no lore. He married Ashe. I think that's not even canon anymore. I don't even know. There is no lore. He's D at best, because like he only has the old lore that is meaningless now. Same with Tahm Kench.
Has lore? Yeah, me neither. F. I have talked about the silence for the damn story so many times already. You know Udyr is an S, and he bloody deserves it. Urgot has an interesting history in Noxus, an interesting story in Zaun, and an interesting setup for the future. B. Despite Varus' story being a bit older, it still holds really well. I just wish it didn't end so abruptly. A. Vayne is simply a good character with interesting past. A. Veigar has an interesting history with Mordekaiser, and he has a funny story of his own. He's a great comedic character. B. Vel'Koz is an interesting character despite his own story being really short. The reason why he is so good is because he explains the Watchers. In a way, he is fundamental. A.
Fair enough.
Once again, Vex is a new champion, but her story reveals an interesting truth about the Yordles. B. Similar to Caitlyn, Vi is different from her arcane version, but her stories in the Undercity are still great. A. We can meme all we want, but the reality is, Viego's story is quite rich.
It's
he has his own stories, the bloodline.
I would say he needs to put an S+ for Viego, really. Viego has just so much story that I only recently found out about because of the comment section, but yeah, I'd say Viego's story right now is, like, there's the S stories, and then there's Viego, right? It's like, it's not even close.
And he has a game named after him. A.
How's that a A, bro? That's an A.
To this day, Victor might be my favorite lore character.
God, bro.
He is equally as
like,
good
the
as...
implications of Viego alone are already then an S minimum. Let alone him as a character. He's literally, like... he's a budget Arthas, sure. But, like, bro, his obsession with his girl, him simping for her, she didn't take advantage, but, like, him simping for her caused literally an annihilation of an island, changing it from a blessed place to a cursed place, and he has the capability to destroy the world. Tell me that's not an S story. Come on.
He is in Arcane, but he is lacking that one big story to push him to the very top. A. Despite Vladimir not doing much right now, his stories that prepare him for coming out of his hiding are excellent.
I know about that story, so...
A. Volibear has the best story out of all the demigods, and his interactions with those who worship him are awesome. A. Warwick is good, but all the great lore is squeezed out of him by Singed. He serves as a great supporting character. C. Wukong is decent, he has a good interaction with Yi, but that's where it all stopped. C. Xerath is as good as Azir. The two together are the foundation of the Shuriman lore. Though I think Xerath might be slightly better than Azir. A. Xin Zhao is currently an excellent character. He is almost the counterpart to Silas. He has two big stories, both of them are excellent, and for that he deserves an S.
Just hearing about what the stories are, compared to Silas, I don't know. If his story ended with him being taken in by Demacia after being made a gladiator by Noxus, that's like an A or a B. That's what's it called? That's Spartacus. Okay, I don't care about that too much. It's not that. It's not unique. It's not that interesting. Silas' story, like, this is not an S tier, man. Silas' story is way more unique, way more interesting. It's like a mage hunter that was a mage, was imprisoned, unleashed from his shackles, attacks the master. Like, all that shit is way more interesting.
Yasuo has so much lore. Just like Riven, he's been fleshed out over the years. And his story in Ruined King is good.
I need to see the Ruined King part, because, like, if she's an S here, he might be good too.
The game ended his story with yet
not like as if like she wouldn't be S here. I love her story as a whole, but like Yasuo so far has been like you know, he's been just
setup, so there is more coming. S. On the other hand, Yone is riding off of Yasuo's success. He is fine, but he himself didn't make it that far.
Fair enough.
B. You see, if Yorick actually fought Viego,
that would be an interesting story, yeah.
He would be a lot higher. But currently his story ended with him getting ready to fight Viego, which never happened.
Yeah.
C. Yumi is getting ready to find Nora. The end. C. Zack was a chemical experiment. The end. C.
What? C?
Zeri has a nice setup for a future fight.
But it's like, see, like stuff like that, which like, are they relevant to the world? Not really. Would the like?
The end.
He is as relevant to the world as much as Seraphine. If he didn't exist, no one would care. Yumi, maybe. I don't know much about Yumi, so I can't say. But like, yeah, this guy, if he didn't exist, no one would care. That's Seraphine level. Same with Talon, to be honest. If Talon didn't exist, it wouldn't matter to anyone. Same with Gnar. You know, it's like well, Gnar maybe, because like there is potential, at least there's potential with Gnar as the most primal or the oldest Yordle. There might be potential, but it's like there is no, like there are no implications to the world with Zack, with Twitch, with Mundo, with Seraphine. They're just like, who cares if they exist at all? Doesn't matter.
Zeri has a nice setup for a future fight with Renata,
but right now,
and she became Echo's friend. Still, nothing's happening with her just yet. C. Ziggy's bio is fine, but he does have a cool comic, and he got his own cool story. B.
Okay.
Zillion has a really interesting bio that is hopefully setting him up for the Void
or
event.
something normal.
But so far,
yeah.
C. Zoe is difficult to rate. She herself is not doing anything.
Yep.
But she is technically connected to the Twilight of the Gods story. And that alone gave her a B. And
why? It's like, oh yeah, she's connected, so it gives her a B. Like, why? It's like saying, it's like, well, the Void story is an S. Aurelion Sol is going to the Void story because he annihilates the Void, so he's also getting an S. Like, come on, it's like, that's not what the material is for S or whatever.
Finally, Zyra got a cool story where Noxians tried to explore her territory. You can imagine how that went down. B.
Yeah.
But that is all the champions ranked based on how good their lore is. Once again, remember, this is all subjective.
I didn't care about the Zyra lore at all.
May be different,
again, well, actually no, the Zyra, as far as like from the small things he said about her in a different video, I guess her story is becoming more and more relevant to the world. So yeah, maybe. But it's like some of these just like, they're just not relevant to anything, you know. Like some of these guys, you know, it's like.
But in general, I'm happy with
this. They don't build anything.
I would be a lot happier if we got more than one story this month. Riot has to be preparing something for the Void, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I swear to God, if it's a sexy champion, I am dedicating a rage video about her.
I mean, technically she is, but she isn't, so it is what it is. But also, where's Kassadin in all of this? Come on, man, give me my Kassadin. Anyways, that's the video. Don't hate on me too much on the comics, because I am coming from a perspective of the lore that I know, which is literally comment section about Viego and what's it called, and like all 5-year-old lore, 5 to 6 year old lore. Okay, so I am catching up, but I did want to see which stories are the best. I do want to see the Viego stories, and I'll try to see if he probably made videos about literally the stories, the comics and stuff like that. So maybe I'll get a better understanding, but yeah, I'll have to like dig through his video history. But anyways, that's it for today with the League Legends stuff. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.